Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey everybody, welcome to Unlocking the Magic. On this episode, we are going to virtually walk right down the middle. Trying not to sing here, Bruce.
Please don't.
We're going to walk right down the middle of Main Street, USA to discover the secrets, hidden jewels, and of course, unlock the magic.
Oh, it's been a while since we've done one of these unlocking episodes, but I like these a little bit.
A little bit. I like these a lot of it.
Feels a lot like homework to me, but I enjoy it.
It's so much fun for me. I know that it is time consuming for you.
It is. I'm like the color commentator.
I'm just really excited because what better, I don't know, Main Street, it's the center of everything. It's the beginning. It's just something that I've been really eager to unlock, and I can't wait to share this episode with you guys, as well as the reasons behind our unlocking. I think doing this particular episode made me realize what exactly unlock means.
What does it mean?
For me, and I hope for you, but I think while doing this episode, I almost don't want to give away, facts and things that you really need to see. It's almost like just what I believe is the core of being in especially Magic Kingdom. It's the family time, it's the togetherness, and what I want you to experience.
So unlocking doesn't necessarily mean every history and fact about it. That's probably a deeper episode, but more of, unlock the philosophy of what we like to do at the parks and little hidden gems that you can sometimes, for me at least, go unnoticed. Many times we've gone to the Magic Kingdom and you race. You walk under that railroad, you see the castle, and you just kind of race right down the middle to get to either take a photo or get to your first attraction. Back in the old days before the fast passes, you would race to get your fast passes, right? And you kind of forget about Main Street. You just walk right by it, and then maybe leaving or later in the day you'd go back and it'd be packed. But sometimes early in the morning is the best time to take a break and relax and walk around Main Street and enjoy all the little hidden gems that the Walt Disney Company thought of when they created Main Street.
Exactly. And I do know and I appreciate those of you that really want to get onto, whether it be Space Mountain or whatever attraction it is. If you don't have necessarily a fast pass, but you want to be the first in line, I get it. The attractions are there and they're definitely a highlight of the trip.
Especially if it's like your first time there.
Yeah, but I disagree. I think it should be almost like your second day there or something, because really what you're missing, it's kind of like what you mentioned before. It's like Main Street does get busier as the day goes on, which makes it harder for you to kind of see those little things, as well as the things, the performances and things that don't happen later on in the day. And we'll talk about that as well. But also, think about it. Especially if you're with little kids or if you're just a kid at heart like I am. That first moment where you step on Main Street, if you don't appreciate it right then and there, it's really hard to go back and have that same exact feeling of as soon as you step on. So if you're running to the castle or you're running to Peter Pan, it's really hard.
Yeah, because it's almost the park itself, even though you're right there in front of it, it's almost hidden a little. You get off the monorail or one of the boats, the ferry or the smaller boat, and you walk up to the gate where you check in, so to speak. You see the railroad station there, but you don't really see the park at all. It's kind of hidden.
Exactly. And there's really reasons behind all that, things we'll talk about today on the show. So I'm really excited.
It makes me go back to the Disneyland when you walk up and remember there was like a parking lot there. It's still crazy to me every time I think of that.
I know, when you think of Disneyland, and I know last time we were there, not to get too off track here, but I was actually trying to imagine what it was like in the olden days where you pulled up in your, old-fashioned vehicle, well, then being the it vehicle.
Right. But now Disney World is like very much made for the entrance.
It's a show.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, all right. Let's start off by just talking briefly about Main Street and the inspiration behind Main Street. And, a lot of people know the story of Walt being inspired by his hometown of Marceline, Missouri.
Which is funny because if you really research Walt, he didn't really live in that small town that long.
Exactly. And if you especially look at the old photos of the town, it's not an actual depiction either.
Well, I think Walt Disney does this with all of his attractions in the park itself and his movies. It's not necessarily exactly what the reference is. It's about the immersing you in what the ideal is of that. So this is his ideal version of what that small town Main Street would look like.
Yeah, it's definitely not a representation of any specific town, but it's kind of like a cheerful, nostalgic town that really, I feel like, represents that great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
Yeah, it's if
Homey.
you said, Walt Disney, what would your small town Main Street USA look like? He said, this is what I think it would look like in his dreams.
Yeah, and it's almost like, I think the connection with the Marceline, Missouri thing is more like the feelings he had being there as a young kid. You know, I'm sure you can dig in deep and find some of those memories when you were a child, Bruce, and like come up. I mean, if you had
Yeah.
Walt Disney's imagination, I guess, if we had, that would be, we'd have a Main Street.
Well, even like his love of trains comes from that too, because the train would go through the small town. He would see the train, and for him, it was like, that's how you get out, and that's how you get to fulfill your dreams, is to take the train, and it brings you to travel and to see new places and experience new things. And I think that's why he loved trains as well, which is why the train station is right in the front.
Yeah, exactly. So anyhow, I really thought it was important to really go over that. And actually, there's a quote of Walt saying, Main Street is everyone's hometown, the heartline of America. So really, like you said, he was trying to do something where it was like sort of like the perfect town,
Yeah.
So on this show, we're really going to talk about why this town is so special and why you really need to take your time wandering through the next time you go to Walt Disney World.
And it's not technically a land, but to us it should be.
I really think it should be considered a land. It's definitely underestimated, and I again really want people to slow down a bit and just appreciate the moment.
You're not going to spend 4 hours there.
Right.
But you can definitely spend an hour. I mean, you could, but you're going to take pictures of every little thing.
I got to meet the mayor. I've got to talk to cast. I'm really, yeah.
You go through around the sidewalk to each individual nook and cranny, and you're like investigating and looking at it and taking pictures, and you do all that. So if you're really Connie, you could spend 4 hours there. But if you're normal, you probably won't.
Okay. So Main Street really is often considered to be the opening show. Like you said earlier, it's kind of hidden where you don't really know what's happening. After the entrance of, go through the gates of the Magic Kingdom and you're really excited. You see the train going by. Really, with the railroad station acts, it's like a curtain unveiling the show.
Right.
It's so exciting. And so as you enter the Magic Kingdom and you walk under the tunnel, Did you ever notice, Bruce, the sound kind of dims around you?
Didn't really notice it. I don't really notice much. I'm so excited to get in there.
You're so excited.
I'm like a little kid. Imagine that feeling for a little child.
That's what I mean.
Going to there for the first time, and you're so excited. Every kid's dream is to go to Disney World. Your first time there, you get off the monorail. You're antsy to get in line to get your now you got to, use your magic band and get your finger scanned. And then you get in the railroad, you're waiting for your family to come behind you, and then you walk under that tunnel. And for the first time in your life, you see Main Street USA and the castle in the distance. And like, imagine what that feeling is like for a little kid or an adult for the first time, for that matter.
That's what I mean. And I feel like it's really underestimated in the fact that it's not meant to be like your typical theme park where you enter, there's like a main entrance area and you just kind of walk to your first ride. It's not meant for that.
It's the beginning of a show.
It really is. So the music dims as you enter the tunnel, right? Talk about like experiencing, a show. And then as soon as you exit the tunnel, the music heightens and you're suddenly just like immersed in
even like the light dims a little bit because it's
it gets dark, right? Yeah, so you're under this tunnel and it's kind of meant for that, I feel, and you kind of open up to this show, really, and you're right in the center of this vibrant town. You can smell these amazing scents and you can hear music, and it's just
sometimes there's old-fashioned cars riding around.
Exactly, depending on what time you arrive, and hopefully you get there. Well, I wanted to say the old-fashioned cars are there, but if you get, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the mayor and all that. Anyway, it's really, I guess, the point of this show too, for me anyway, is really to make you guys realize that it's intended to make you feel like you really entered a real working town with residents and businesses. There's the city hall, a mayor, a
fire station.
Exactly. Restaurants, businesses, barbershop.
Bakeries. That's my favorite.
Let's talk about the food, right? Yeah. And it does have kind of like a New England type feel with rich architecture and sort of like a early 20th century, like a perfect 20th century town.
But I mean, everybody talks about this as the forced perspective where as the buildings rise, the windows get smaller, so it makes it feel bigger. But they do a tremendous job of making it feel like it's a real 3-story building, even though if I stood up there, I probably would have to kneel down.
You definitely would.
But it makes you feel like it's accurate, even though
right.
even though like I know that it's not that height, but I still can't tell how they do it.
I know, right? It's a movie magic,
right?
Really is what it is, and it's incredible. You're on the center stage here. All that forced perspective is pointing towards the castle, so I can understand most people wanting to just run up to the castle. I mean, I have to admit there have been times where I have done so.
Yeah.
But I really think it's hard to, unless you're there really late at night, then I think maybe like when people are busy shopping, sometimes you can really get that same feeling. But really, there's nothing like it quite like it, in my opinion. I would
say early in the morning or at park closing when everybody's kind of leaving. You can really, that's another great time to walk down Main Street and view the windows because they're all lit up. And take your time and look in those nooks and crannies. I mean, sometimes, though, you're probably tired. But
most times.
When are you going to go back to Disney World? I mean, really.
Unless you're Connie. And I've still got a lot of energy there at night.
You do. For some reason, you get more energized towards the later part of the night.
Just at Magic Kingdom, though. I don't know what it is about that particular park. This is so corny. But I truly feel like I can feel Walt Disney's spirit in Magic Kingdom. I can't explain it. I've been to Disneyland.
Well, you know what it is? I think it's because Disneyland is what he could do, and Disney World is what he would want to do.
Yeah, maybe that's it. And I can really feel him almost being right there. And I know it sounds corny, but it's just something that I'm really connected to.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably because he had the idea for it. And, Epcot is great. He had the idea for Epcot, but it's not exactly what Walt's idea of Epcot was. And Animal Kingdom, he had an idea for, but that's not his. In Hollywood Studios, same thing. So Magic Kingdom in Orlando is really the only park that Walt was involved with. Like, he could see it. You know what I mean?
It's truly magical.
Right.
But the vibe of Main Street, going back to that, is really missed, like I said earlier, if you rush through. So really what we want you to know and really appreciate are those moments. And again, if you were traveling with really young kids, that whole sensory overload definitely happens right from the start. So you really, if you don't slow them down, they just become kind of it's like too much, so if you start to point out little things for them, that's really where the magic happens.
Or just like read the windows.
Yeah, like you're right, exactly. So let's start with the railroad. I'm just going to talk really quickly about the Walt Disney Railroad because I think that definitely I definitely want to do a whole show just about the Walt Disney Railroad. What do you think, Bruce?
I agree. That's a show by itself.
Yeah. But this one in Walt Disney World, so it's no secret that Walt Disney had a passion for trains. You talked about it earlier in his hometown, getting to see the train.
I mean, he built one at his house.
Yeah. I mean, his hometown in California, it was a 1/8 scale. The Carrollwood Pacific.
I mean, you love railroads. If you build a railroad in your yard, and build tunnels in there too, not just a play railroad, but you could ride it. He had people come over. There was a tunnel. It was like a railroad shop in his house.
He was committed.
Yeah, he was pretty committed to those railroads, those trains.
Gosh, if I could just be Walt's friend, imagine that. Imagine, being Walt Disney and being related to him, but imagine just being Walt Disney's friend and being able to be invited to his home and ride the Carrollwood Pacific. That'd be amazing.
That would be pretty fun.
So when you arrive, it's really the centerpiece, obviously, and it starts the scene of Main Street. And the grand architecture of the station really gives that elegant welcome to the park. It really sets, again, the tone of what is coming next. But did you know the trains are authentic steam trains that Disney Imagineers actually went to really great lengths to obtain? They actually went to Mexico, Bruce.
I mean, I know they're authentically old because I can't fit on it that good.
They're tight for you?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
They are. My knees touch the back of the front of me. It's a tight squeeze in there for me.
Big guy problems. They were purchased in Mexico and transported to Florida, where they were refurbished and, as many of you know, named. So there's Walter E. Disney, there's the Lily Bell, Roy O. Disney, but there's another, Roger E. Broggie, who I don't think many people know of. Roger Broggie, and he was sort of like one of the original Imagineers that helped with Walt and his train love of trains.
I have to tell you that this is a battle that I fight all the time because you always want to take the train ride as soon as we get there.
So it's part of my Main Street experience, and we definitely battle this one out.
Because you always want to take the train right off the bat, and I always kind of want to walk through Main Street and get.
Yeah,
I'm like everybody listening to the podcast. I fight that battle myself all the time. Of, the child in me is always looking for the next thing.
Yeah.
So I have to scale back my enthusiasm sometimes for getting to the next attraction, just like you do. That's what Connie's for.
They say recognizing it is your first.
I think it took 17 trips for me to recognize it, but I think I finally recognized it.
I don't necessarily want to ride the train right away. It's actually part of the I want to. So here's my perfect scenario. And
right.
A lot of people have asked us to explain to them my perfect day in Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of it. So we arrive Magic Kingdom, we roam around Main Street, we get to meet the mayor, which you have to get there early because he's not there all day. See the mayor, get all excited, kind of roam around Main Street, and then go on the train and take the whole loop around the Magic Kingdom park. That to me is the perfect day. And I know to you and to and sometimes the kids, especially the youngest, it's a battle with her because she's a lot like you, Bruce.
And you have to go all the way around because if you get off, if you get off before, you missed Main Street.
And not only do you miss half of Main Street if you get off.
Not half of it. You miss all of it.
No, because I do get to, like I said, I like to... and it enhances my experience on Main Street. So I roam around.
And then you go up to the train station? So you roam around the square?
Exactly. And then and you're right, because we have done that before where we've kind of cheated. We've roamed around, and that's where I don't recommend, because then you don't get the full effect of seeing the castle and getting to walk through, because that's really what it is I like to do.
Yeah, and you almost feel like you accomplished something in the beginning, but then later on in your day, you feel like you missed something.
Exactly. So back to roaming around the center, so Town Square, you will see a statue of what many people think is actually Walt Disney, but it's not. It's actually Minnie Mouse and Roy Disney.
Now, who thinks that's Walt Disney?
There's a lot of people. I think maybe when you walk up to it, you realize. Or maybe
it's your first time?
Yeah, your first glance. I think a lot of people think that's Walt Disney, but it's not. And so... And again, if it depends on when you go and how crowded it is, you kind of see it maybe in the middle, in the distance or whatever, and kind of walk right around it, and not necessarily, you don't get a chance to really go investigate what it is. Which
Roy doesn't get enough credit for the Disney company, in my opinion. The people who know Disney give Roy credit, but people from outside don't know enough about what he did for the company. If it wasn't for Roy, there probably would be no company.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
And there certainly wouldn't be any Magic Kingdom because he was the one who got it going and finished it because, Walt passed away.
And it was his dream.
He took the reins and, it was originally going to be named Disney World. And Roy's like, nope, we're naming it Walt Disney World because it's Walt's park and that's what we're doing.
So this statue is actually known as Sharing the Magic. And I want to read the plaque on the statue.
Which is funny because, it's Walt and Mickey. And then the number 2s are Roy and Minnie. Minnie's the second character,
Yeah.
And Roy's kind of like Walt's number 2 in the company, so it's kind of fitting.
It is fitting.
And I didn't mean Mickey's better than Minnie. I didn't mean
No,
that.
no, no. Get you. Hey, listen. You know.
Mickey was just created first.
It's just an amazing relationship that they had. It is incredibly hard to work with family. And seeing what these two were able to accomplish is amazing. I think it helped that they were opposites.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. If Roy was a creative mind, I don't think this would have worked.
It's so funny that I knew you were going to say that, and I wanted to get it out first.
Yeah, because Walt was like the creative mind. He had the ideas, but he also knew how to execute those ideas. Roy was just fundamental in building that business, in financing the ideas. But, ideas are great. And if Walt just had this great imagination, but Walt was really good at execution. So I think that's an underestimated value that he had.
So this statue, Sharing the Magic, it says, Sharing the Magic, dedicated to Roy O. Disney, co-founder of the Walt Disney World Company. In 1923, Walt and his brother Roy O. Disney pulled their resources, Walt's creative vision, and Roy's business sense to form their own cartoon studio. Together, they successfully pioneered many new avenues in family entertainment. Roy O. Disney completed his brother's last and greatest dream, the creation of the Walt Disney World Resort, and dedicated the Magic Kingdom on this site on October 25th, 1971. Wow, just to be there.
I mean, not only that, but it feels like it's been open for like 100 years.
It does. It feels like that too. Maybe we're just old.
Maybe. But,
I don't know.
To say 1973 is, doesn't feel like it's that long ago.
1971.
71 rather. Doesn't feel like it's that long ago, but it is long ago. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We
No,
are
I hear
old,
you.
I guess.
Yeah. I love that they did. So this statue wasn't always there. They placed this statue in the 90s in there, and it's very special that it was right where that Roy dedicated Magic Kingdom.
Nice.
There's, of course, the flagpole that you have to see where the daily flag retreats are held, City Hall, city administration. That's where guest relations are and everything. But it's really cool just to be on Main Street and really realize that it's a real working town.
As far as fake towns go.
As far as big town go, obviously the Main Street Firehouse.
Like, he's not the real mayor.
He's not?
Like, he's not making decisions. Sorry.
He's the real mayor of Main Street.
Yes. He's going to tell you to get on the sidewalk. Keep moving along.
That's what mayors do.
That's what mayors do.
During parades, especially. Main Street Firehouse, company number 71.
You know why it's number 71?
I'm going to
Take a guess.
It's their favorite number.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's how many people worked there.
All right.
71. No, it's because that's when the park was open, 1971.
Representing the year Walt Disney World opened.
You
yes.
knew that. You were just
I
messing
know.
with me.
I like to tease you. So as you're roaming around and you're smelling the smells of Main Street, there's, of course, a lot of differences between Main Street in Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. But I think we should save that for a different show because there's a whole thing we can go into. And,
like, talk about the two ones, why they're different and how?
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, Magic Kingdom, very vibrant. And you can find yourself sort of lost if you can really see all the special things and get lost in the moment if you really try. So It's really, for me, a conscious level of like, here we are. Let's just listen, you don't have to spend 4 hours there like me. 15, 20 minutes can be fine. It's not going to derail you for the rest of the day. Trust me.
Just be careful. Here's my one piece of advice.
Uh-oh.
When you're walking down Main Street, be careful looking up at the windows while you're walking because it's busy and there's curbs. You may fall. And I may be talking from experience.
Yeah. Whoops.
So just be careful. It's fascinating to look at the names on the windows and the companies, even though the companies of those names aren't real companies. The creativity that goes into the naming of the companies that name works for on the window is fun to watch. But just like I said, be careful. A lot of people on Main Street, you're looking up. There's curbs, carriages, little kids.
Carriages, old-fashioned cars.
Yeah, it could be messy.
Horses.
Pay attention.
Definitely pay attention. What I think is really cool about the windows, too, it's definitely the credits. And, I think maybe you listening understand what the windows are for, but there might be a lot of you that don't. And to really pay attention to the windows, again, I think that's a whole nother show right there, just the windows of Main Street.
It's like the ending credits of a movie.
Yeah.
Those are the credits. Those are the windows. Like, you're walking down Main Street, and as you're walking into the park and all of its creations, you pass by everybody who was involved in making that a reality.
How amazing is that? I mean, that to me is so special. I think it's incredible that they do that in the Walt Disney World Company. You know, they remember everyone that was involved, and they give them credit where it's due. And it's just so special.
I love that they come up with funny names.
Yeah. How do they do that?
I don't know. But one of them's like MT Lot Real Estate Investments, which was like a dummy company that they used to buy the land in Florida. So get it, Empty Lot.
That's amazing.
It's just funny.
That
was a real company, though. That was really funny. That was real.
That's definitely a challenge at the time. You think now, I mean, how difficult must it have been for them to purchase this land, you know? So that's definitely credit where it's due, right?
Yeah,
there.
They didn't want to get price gouged. If they knew Disney World or Walt Disney was buying land in Florida, they would have totally jacked up the prices.
Yeah, definitely, I would say.
Oh, the Mickey Mouse guy wants to buy land in Florida? There's got to be a reason for that. We're tripling the price.
So speaking of the windows in Main Street, I consider this technically a window, even though it's a door. But my favorite spot really is where it says casting.
I know.
I love that part of Main Street. I love just the essence of just the old nostalgia feel. Yes, you know, the shops now don't exactly contain what they say, but it's a fun spin off of what the shops are.
That casting door too is probably one that people walk by a lot.
I think so. It
says right on the top, open since 1971 too.
That's so
Magic
cool.
Kingdom Casting Agency.
I may have a bazillion photos of myself on there.
Yeah, there was many selfies I've taken in front of that.
Trying to open the door, begging for a shot, please.
Slipping your resume underneath it.
Just my headshot, just slipping it right under. Whoops! How did that get there?
Sorry, lady.
The kids still get embarrassed when I do that, but listen.
They get embarrassed when you do a lot of stuff in Disney World.
I'll try anything. So speaking of our kids, I asked our youngest, Bruce. I don't think you were.
I'm the youngest?
No, I'm just talking to you now.
Oh.
I asked our youngest what is her favorite part of Main Street USA.
Yeah, you teased this to me before the show started.
I did, because I was trying to maybe see if you could guess it.
Well, my immediate first reaction was to go to food. Snacks, candy, some sort of snack or candy.
Okay. It's close.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Popcorn?
So I asked
coffee?
her. She actually chose 2. And she went into detail on the second one a little bit because
Is it lollipops?
I laughed hard.
All right.
No, she said, I said, what is your favorite part of Main Street? It's funny because I ask them questions all the time and kind of, I don't think they know I use them in the show, but.
I don't think they listen.
Yeah, no, I know they don't listen, but I don't think they realize that I put it in the show. But anyway.
They don't realize that thousands of people know who they are even though they
exactly.
never on the show?
I think our oldest do. That's why they're hesitant about coming back on the show now. Like, they didn't really get it before.
In the beginning?
Yeah. Now they're like, ooh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So her response was actually so sweet. The old-fashioned cars.
Which is cool.
She loves those. And
which I still love to take a ride on.
Yeah, and again, that's another little piece of Main Street that I think a lot of people take for granted. It's just that another piece of nostalgia that goes along with the feeling of this perfect town.
They should make old-fashioned Uber in Disney World where those old cars drive you to an attraction.
That would be amazing.
Like, I'll pay extra for that.
Yeah.
Like $100 a day ticket for Uber for old-fashioned cars, and it's just like you use the app on your phone to get picked up and take you to the next one. That would be so awesome.
So she loves those old-fashioned cars, which is funny because I never realized how much until she said that. And the second thing, which
got to be food related.
Well, the second thing I literally laughed out loud. She said, and Starbucks.
She does love that.
She does love Starbucks.
Frappuccinos all around.
Yeah, Frappuccino. She was a very happy camper when she was allowed to try a Frappuccino.
Especially when you get the snack credits and they can get the real big one.
She doesn't get the ones with caffeine, but she does not need caffeine.
No, she does not.
But she says, actually, and as soon as I started laughing, she said it's actually the old telephones inside Starbucks.
Oh yeah, they actually talk.
Yeah, and who would have thought? That's what I love about Walt Disney World is like the things and it's like you're so. I don't know.
Well, they make you want to touch stuff.
Yeah. I
right?
mean,
Most places you go to, they're like,
to
don't
an
touch this or
extent.
stay away from that. Disney
Yeah.
World is like, you know what? If we're going to put this in here as a prop, people are going to touch it.
Right.
They're going to want to touch it. We might as well make it work and fun.
Right.
And those are the small details that other places don't have.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly what makes you feel like a kid again and makes you realize where you are, And so picking up that telephone and listening into the conversation on the other end, it's so much fun. And it's really those little moments and those little things that she remembers. And to me, that was super special because I did laugh about the whole Starbucks thing, but really what she meant was just that playfulness of there's not a Starbucks like that around here, And so you really feel like you've gone into an olden town somewhere. And I really love those little details in Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I mean, the Starbucks is just something that we've done together. It's not necessarily the company Starbucks that is
exactly
what we look forward to. It's more, we all go in there to get a coffee, you use your snack credit, you sit on the curb, and you just people watch while you finish that up or drink that. It's usually midday. We come back there and kind of hang out and look around, and that's more of what we talk about when we say Starbucks.
So what about the future of Main Street? Obviously, by unlocking this episode, that does mean the tradition of unlocking the Magic podcast. There are changes happening.
Yep, everything will change that we just talked about.
So recently at the D23, it was announced that a new theater will be constructed right on Main Street. It's going to host stage shows. It's going to be really interesting to see how it fits the theme of that nostalgic Main Street.
The one thing I wish they would do is go back and change the shops to be what they are named. You know what I mean? Like, I wish they would have specific shops. I think that would be fun to do down Main Street.
I was saying that in actually Disneyland this past vacation, and I think I agree with you in a lot of ways, but in certain ways I think that it would be kind of weird because do people actually want to buy like old-fashioned hats, or do they want to buy Mickey ears?
Well, it could be all of that in one shop. It could be like
true.
a hat shop, and it's like where you get all of your Mickey ears.
All right,
It
send
should
in
be
a
a
note.
mug shop.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Fine. Send in your notice and see
right.
what happens.
I'll email that to them.
We're on the creative team. I thought we're on Disney creative team, right?
It's true. Unlocking the magic.
Somebody-
Would you rather? I think there was someone that posted in our Patreon group
Yeah.
that there was a would you rather, and they're like, you got to trademark that, even though we didn't come up with it.
I mean, I'd like to think we did.
We just made it good.
No, we just right. I mean, come on. I told you it was on the Disney Channel just recently.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this new theater, it's coming to Main Street. I feel like it's definitely going to bring some of that. I miss being able to watch cartoon shows, I guess, in the actual theater on Main Street in Walt Disney World. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
they did still have it just like they do in Disneyland. It's not anything that amazing, but it's really cool because you walk in, it's an actual theater. There's no seating. Everyone kind of just sits on the floor, just stands, and it shows Mickey shorts, and it's really cool. So,
Well, it shows you like the beginning in the chronological order of
Yeah.
it. You can see how the animation changed as well through time.
I don't remember specifically what it was on Main Street when I was a kid, but I remember walking into a theater and watching a cartoon when I was little.
It must have been similar to that.
It must have been, and I remember that being so special to me. So I really hope, this sounds like a major theater happening, so I doubt it's going to be little, but it'll be interesting to see, because to me, again, it's the little things that really what stand out. And look, I asked the kids, and it's always the little things that they remember.
Right.
So that to me is really special. It'll be interesting to see the future.
It's always changing, and it's always going to change. And Walt even said, this is a park that'll
Right.
never stay the same. It's always going to be growing in evolution, evolving over time, and it'll always be growing and changing, which is what makes us want to go back all the time.
Exactly. All right.
That was good. So we'll have to go back and talk about the windows in a whole, because the windows could be its whole episode by itself.
I feel like we could really take each section of Main Street and really do a whole episode.
Well, I would love to do an episode where we talk about the windows and the people behind the name on that window.
Yeah,
like maybe we could do that. We can unlock the windows of Main Street and then go through the people who are on them and like what they did and why they're on there.
Exactly. And I know we didn't really talk too much about the fire station in Magic Kingdom. Obviously, it's different than in Disneyland. In Disneyland, there's an actual apartment. And I know I already said earlier, I'm not going to compare the two streets, but I feel like this is an important piece. Obviously, there's no apartment above the fire station in Magic Kingdom. That doesn't mean that there's still that essence of Walt in this park. And I really feel like if you slow down a bit, you will definitely feel sort of the essence of Walt Disney in Magic Kingdom.
I agree with you 100%.
So that's that. That's my 2 cents
All
on
right, that was good.
Okay.
If you're going to Disney World, by the way, you should head over to enchanted-escapes.com. They can help you book everything, your fast passes, hotel, resorts, reservations, all of that good stuff. They even do Disney cruises, anything Disney related. Just want to say thank you to them for supporting us on the show. Enchanted-escapes.com.
Also, we will also want to thank
you for listening.
You. I said Bruce and me.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for listening, for your continuous support. We really, really appreciate all your reviews, all your messages. We read every single one of them, and they really make our day. So thank you so much.
Yeah, we wouldn't do the show without all the responses and the emails and joining us on our live show on Facebook every Monday night, too. It's always good to see you guys. All right, so I have to announce the winner of our Would You Rather. So on Monday nights on Facebook, just search Unlocking the Magic on Facebook. At the end of that live show, we say, you know what, give us your best Would You Rather, and we'll pick one for a prize on the podcast. So you have to listen to the podcast. So I'm going to announce the winner of this week's Would You Rather, best Would You Rather of the show.
Here we go.
Are you ready, Connie?
I am ready.
So BJ, shout out to BJ, said, would you rather 24 hours on the Death Star or the Black Pearl?
Oh my gosh, after my heart.
Which is a good one. Now,
That's the best.
I'm pretty sure I could survive on the Black Pearl. I don't know if I'd survive on the Death Star. Like, would he kill you?
I know. We need to know more details
Would you
on
be
this.
a prisoner, or would you be like part of the crew?
I don't know.
So I don't know. What would you rather? I know what you choose.
Okay, so this is a really hard one because everyone knows I'm just such a fan of both. Obviously, even right now behind us while we're recording, I have the Death Star.
Right.
But the Black Pearl, it's always been this weird dream and fantasy of mine to be able to actually be on the Black Pearl.
So you're going to choose the Black Pearl?
Yes.
All right, I'm choosing the Death Star, and I'm going to tell you why. I may have said the Black Pearl on the show, but I've changed my mind. If I didn't,
do tell.
Because they look really dirty. And I have a problem with my hands. I got to wash my hands a lot, right? So I don't know if I could survive on the Black Pearl being that filthy all the time. And 24 hours without washing my hands or taking a shower is a long time for me.
I need a minute. I can't even continue right now.
So I'm choosing the Death Star solely based on that.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
So if you want to say hello to us on Instagram, we are Unlock the Magic. On Twitter, you can come by and say hello. I am, I say I am, but I am WW Unlock Magic. That's just me on Twitter. Connie doesn't really go on Twitter too much. And if you are BJ, right? Don't message us on Facebook because we get it done there and they kind of get lost in the shuffle sometimes. Shoot us an email, info@unlockingthemagic.com. But if you do have your own Would You Rather or you have a question for us, you can do it through preferably email, info@unlockingthemagic.com. I know over the course of the last few shows we've been saying message us on Facebook, but we've just been getting a lot of messages there, and sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. But the email goes right to us so we can read it there. And if you want to give us a review on iTunes, that would be awesome.
I'm still laughing. It took me this long to calm down.
I was thinking about that since the live show, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I could do it. So that's why I'm choosing the Death Star.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. That's it for us this week. We'll see you on the next episode of the show.
I guess I'm just a filthy pirate. Bye, everybody.